フリーザと勝負になると思っているのか？
フリーザ、オラが勝ったら恨みは忘れて力の大会の間はオラたちの仲間になれ。
The headliners for the $250 million celebration were leaked to be transforming Goku and First Form Frieza several days before the celebration officially began. These units had the ability to transform up to 4 times within battle, with Goku progressing through his Super Saiyan forms and culminating in Super Saiyan Blue, while Frieza went through his transformed states up to Golden Frieza. Not only were the Dokkan Fest themselves leaked, but so was every single aspect of the $250 million celebration. The kits of every new unit scheduled to release during the celebration, along with all upcoming events and rewards, were revealed in great detail by a group of credible leakers within the Dokkan community long before the countdown period started. This was an unprecedented event that took the player base by storm, and leaks on this scale would never be replicated again in the game's history. The concept of units possessing multiple transformations got players very excited, bringing back the same hype feeling people received from powering up mid-battle like in the Budokai and Raging Blast games. However, this same concept also made players skeptical on how these units would perform in practice. Goku and Frieza transformed to their next forms at the start of each turn, meaning the earliest you could possibly see Blue Goku and Golden Frieza was turn 9, and no event in the game lasted that long. In their initial forms, they gained 80% attack and defense at the start of turn, with Goku also having 21% damage reduction and Frieza recovering 11% HP at the start of turn. With each subsequent transformation, they raised their attack by 10% and defense minus 20%, and their damage reduction and healing was also increased by 1%. To balance out the defense loss in their passive, Goku and Frieza stacked attack and defense by 20% in their initial 4 states, meaning their defense would stay relatively the same while their offense continued to soar. In their final forms, Goku and Frieza ended up gaining 120% attack and 25% damage reduction and a 15% heal respectively. Furthermore, for their first appearance, Blue Goku and Golden Frieza gained 12 ki and performed a guaranteed critical hit, allowing them to hit like a truck the turn they came out. While Goku was tankier than Frieza, Frieza was considered slightly better due to the massive stats he gained from his links, and he was a more valuable unit on his teams than Goku was for his teams. Goku's ki links changed as he transformed, switching from prepared for battle to over in a flash in his Super Saiyan 3 and God states, which often negatively impacted the synergy between your units. The biggest strength these units possessed, however, was their versatile leader skills. Goku and Frieza possess some of the best leader skills in the game, giving Super and Extreme Class 3 ki and 120% to stats respectively. They had unrestricted versions of Tech Vegito Blue and STR Goku Black's leader skills, making them the go-to leaders for many players. Goku and Frieza were very powerful, but they didn't truly start to look impressive until they reached their 3rd or 4th forms, which you only saw at the very end of the fight. Both units were decent in Super Battle Road, but could take big damage from supers in their initial states. They weren't considered exceptional cards, and were simply good, reliable units on release. During the countdown period, they renewed the Friend Summon banner and added a new SR unit that could be Dokkan awakened all the way into an LR. LR Grey Saiyaman 1 and 2. This unit had a decent leader skill, giving superclass allies 100% to stats when all 5 super types were present. This LR was a busted support unit, giving superclass allies 4 ki and 50% defense, making this unit a borderline must-run on every team. Their grind was hell, however, requiring medals from the Hero Extermination event, which had very low drop rates, but they were definitely worth the trouble. Just like the $200 million download celebration, the $250 million download celebration had a special ticket banner that featured Dokkan Fest characters up until Super Saiyan 3 Bardock. The Global vs JP reward cards this time around were Super Saiyan Namek Goku and Final Form Frieza, and the Global version ended up winning the competition this time around. they released a new special event known as Launch's Treasure Hunt, which allowed players to obtain 10 stones every day over the course of a week. Combined with the special missions that gave out 10 stones a day for 7 days, players were able to acquire 140 Dragon Stones in total. The banner units for Goku and Frieza were Kaioken Goku and Final Form Frieza. These two units were capable of dealing insane damage, with Frieza in particular being a fantastic linking partner with transforming Frieza, and capable of dishing out 3 million plus attack stats, which was higher than most Dokkan Fests at the time. Just like Kid Gohan during the 3rd anniversary, they released a new Piccolo unit that had his own hidden potential orbs and EZA event. This Piccolo could transform by assimilating with Nail starting from turn 5, and he was an absolutely incredible free-to-play unit. He was a solid defensive unit in base, but once transformed, Piccolo was one of the best defensive free-to-play units in the game, and could also deal decent damage with several Rainbow Key Spheres obtained. He also healed 30% HP on his initial turn once transformed, and recovered 18,000 HP per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained, allowing you to heal massive amounts of HP. Just as the leaks had outlined, Part 2 came with a new Extreme Z battle raid against Full Power Jiren. This event was similar to the 3rd anniversary Namek Saga Extreme Z battle in terms of structure and rewards, but no EZA character was attached to this event. More importantly, for Part 2, they released a new LR Goku and Frieza unit from the final episode of Dragon Ball Super. And this LR was by far the hardest hitting unit in the game, excluding transformed LR Super Vegito. First off, they introduced the highest leader skill percentage into the game, giving representatives of Universe 7 category allies 3 key and 177% to stats, which includes characters from Universe 7 who participated in the Universal Tournaments of Dragon Ball Super. They also gave 3 key and 90% to stats for tech types, which allowed you to run the type support TN, who they shared over in a flash with. Goku and Frieza gained 77% attack and defense when attacking, and an additional 77% attack when attacking with 18 or more ki, and a further 77% attack when the enemy's attack was lowered. Both this unit and TN lowered attack on their supers, and Super Battle Road enemies, as well as the 5 most recent Dokkan events, were all susceptible to attack lowering, which meant that Goku and Frieza had a 100% uptime on their full attack buff. Furthermore, since all of their attack buffs were activated on Super, their 231% attack buff was multiplied by TN's 40% attack buff at the start of turn, meaning they actually gained a staggering 363% attack boost. This was by far the most devastating rotation in the game, and LR Goku and Frieza dominated APT lists for a very long time. At the end of the month, they released one of the most frustrating events we had ever seen in the game, the Punching Bag event. This event had missions that required you to deal 77.77 million damage in a single hit without any items. This impossible challenge could only be completed by 2 units in the entire game on release, LR Goku and Frieza and LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. However, these 2 units needed to have 1 or more dupes and had to collect a full field of same type orbs under a double nuking lead. Furthermore, you only had 6 charge counts or 2 turns for each run in order to nuke the boss. On top of that, you were limited to 2 attempts per stage every day, so you couldn't continuously reset for good RNG. And if that wasn't enough, the rewards were split between the first 3 stages, with stage 1 giving you 70 million Zeni in total, stage 2 giving you a massive amount of potential orbs, and stage 3 giving you 59 Dragon Stones from missions. This meant that you had to get lucky enough to deal 77.77 million damage on 3 separate stages in order to get all the rewards from the missions. An absolutely garbage event. The next Dokkan Fest release was Transforming Super Boo, and he was unfortunately quite underwhelming. He introduced the Transformation Boost category, which includes characters that gain a boost in power through transforming. This also includes units that have an in-game transformation mechanic, with the exception of AGL Turles. STR Super Boo gained 80% attack and defense at the start of turn. And that was it. Super Boo was a bare bones unit that offered absolutely nothing to the team in base, except for some above average stats and lowering attack on Super. He could transform starting from turn 5, and he absorbed a different character depending on your HP level. When HP was 49% or less, he absorbed Piccolo and became a defensive support unit that also healed 15% HP at the start of turn. When HP was between 50% and 79%, he absorbed Gotenks and became a mediocre offensive unit whose extra offense was tied to the enemy's attack needing to be lowered. When HP was 80% or above, he absorbed Ultimate Gohan and closely resembled Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta in terms of his kit, with the extra bonus of healing 10% HP at the start of turn. Even if you were able to transform Super Boo, he was still very unimpressive and was comparable to Dokkan Fest that released over a year and a half ago. Overall, one of the worst Dokkan Fest releases ever, and that won't be the last time you hear me say that in this video. ENT Hercule was Super Boo's banner unit, and not only was he better than Boo, he was one of the best defensive units in the game. He had a high chance to evade enemies' attacks and reduce damage received by 50 to 90% depending on how low your HP was at the time. People didn't realize at the time, but Hercule was actually bugged and would stack his damage reduction when he was hit within the turn. After receiving a single hit, Hercule would have 100% damage reduction for the turn, making him actually invincible to everything, and this problem wouldn't be rectified until years later. A week later, Physical Kid Buu received an EZA, and he became an even more competent support unit than before. He now gave 2 ki on top of his 50% support, and when HP fell below 80%, he now gave an inferior but still very good attack and defensive buff to all allies. He was a staple support unit on many teams, and people would sometimes run him without a leader skill just to juice up units such as LR Goku and Frieza. The Halloween free-to-play character this year was Super Saiyan Gotenks and Ghost, and he was a worthy successor to Candy Vegito. Gotenks was a rainbow orb changer who had a high chance to stun on Super, making him a fantastic option for Super Battle Road, especially in the fusion category stage. At the end of the month, Dokkan Fest Metal Cooler made his iconic debut into the game. He led the Wicked Bloodline category, which includes members of Frieza's family. Metal Cooler gained 80% attack and defense at the start of turn, and gained 10% attack per attack received up to a maximum of 70%. He could hit very impressive numbers once fully built up, but his biggest strength was his giant form transformation. Just like AGL Tapion, when HP was 50% or less, Metal Cooler entered into his giant form. Metal Cooler Core greatly raised attack on Super temporarily, allowing him to hit even harder than Hirudegarn once transformed. He was a Super Battle Road killer, but what most people remember about this cooler is his stunning animations. While LR Goku and Frieza was the first unit in the game to have animations that blew people away, Metal Cooler marked a turning point for Dokkan animations becoming modern. He looked vastly better than every unit before him, and every Dokkan Fest unit released after Cooler would boast good-looking animations. The free-to-play Type Metal Coolers also received Dokkan Awakenings and were the new best free-to-play team in the game. A team led by Dokkan Fest Metal Cooler and all 5 Type Metal Coolers could clear every Dokkan event in the game and was even capable of taking on Super Battle Road stages. Alongside the Metal Coolers, they released the 4th Prime Battle LR Super Saiyan Vegeta. He had a phenomenal leader skill, giving 3 ki and 70% to stats for Pure Saiyans category allies. He was in line with Prime Battle Trunks, not as good as Prime Battle Goku and Frieza on release, but still a very good option for free-to-play players. EZA TEQ Beerus was the next EZA, and he was the strongest EZA unit yet. He now gained 80% attack and defense at the start of turn, and gained 40% attack for 4 turns after receiving an attack. Just like Metal Cooler, his extra attack buff from being hit was multiplicative, meaning EZA TEQ Beerus actually gained 152% attack for 4 turns. Combined with his crazy high EZA stats, EZA TEQ Beerus was dealing ludicrous damage, and his Fury mode can now activate twice per battle when the HP was 40% or less. In the middle of November, we received several buffs to the Peppy Gals category via a new Transforming Rib Brienne, as well as awakenings for numerous Peppy Gals characters. We also received some great quality of life updates that added labels, a search function for characters, and a button that took you to a Dokkan event straight from the Metal tab. More interestingly, they released a new Dragon Ball Heroes collab banner featuring 7 new SSRs, with the standouts being Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Goku and Dark Masked King, due to being the best defensively out of the batch. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's EZA ended up being very disappointing, not because he was bad, but because he barely changed post-EZA. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta was already a very competent tank beforehand, so his EZA really only gave him increased stats to help him tank slightly better. One of the worst Dokkan Fest releases ever, and that won't be the last time you hear me say that in this video. Transforming Goku Black was one of the worst Dokkan Fest releases we had ever seen. Goku Black gained 40% attack at the start of each turn up to a maximum of 120%, and gained a 5% chance to crit up to a maximum of 40% with every attack received. First off, this unit hit like a wet paper bag his first 2 appearances, and once he was fully built up by turn 5, his damage was only solid for a Dokkan Fest TUR. Secondly, this unit gained no defense in his passive and possessed no defensive mechanics either. Instead, they gave him the ability to stack defense by 50% on super, but he didn't build up defense nearly fast enough to tank hits from tough bosses. Luckily, Goku Black had a very easy transformation condition. Goku Black had a garbage transformation condition, transforming starting from turn 6 when HP was 80% or higher. Just like the later forms of transforming Goku and Frieza, you would pretty much never see Goku Black transform, and even if you did reach turn 6, you still had an annoying HP condition you had to satisfy. He was a pretty good damage dealer once transformed, gaining 150% attack and a 50% chance to crit, but he still didn't gain any defense from his passive. Similarly to Physical Future Gohan, this unit was mysteriously designed for longer events, despite all the hardest content in the game lasting for 4 to 5 turns. His 2 saving graces were his incredible super attack animations and leader skill. Goku Black introduced the Time Travelers category into the game, which includes characters that have traveled through time or have been revived after being sealed a long time ago, which is why characters such as Bojack are a part of the category. A week later, Dokkan one-upped themselves with EZA TEQ Beerus by releasing the most busted EZA unit to date, INT Janemba. Janemba now gains 70% attack and defense at the start of turn, and a medium chance to dodge, as well as an additional 40% attack for 4 turns after guard is activated. He hit about as hard as EZA TEQ Beerus while also being a monster defensive unit. He was unbelievably good and was very dominant in Super Battle Road. A day later, the 27th World Tournament introduced a new local ranking LR Yamcha and Poir. This unit introduced the Join Forces category into the game, which includes units that featured 2 or more characters, as well as the AND symbol in their card name. This category was very powerful, consisting of some of the best units in the game, but Yamcha himself was mediocre. On December 14th, they released a double race banner that actually featured a new LR, which was a first. LR Trunks and Mai gained 70% attack at the start of turn, and 10% attack and defense per Future Saga category ally on the team. They also gained 6 ki and a high chance to evade enemies' attack when facing a Future Saga category enemy. They were pretty good, but only on the full Future Saga team, and were clearly designed to work well in later Super Battle Road stages that had Future Saga category enemies. However, this double race banner was a massive trap set by the developers. The increased chances to pull an LR character enticed many players to summon, despite the community knowing that the 2 most hyped banners ever were just beyond the horizon.
そろそろ本番スタートさせるからな。おめえは確実に消滅する。
Transforming Broly and Transforming Gogeta descended onto Dokkan as a dual Dokkan Fest at the end of the month. They were the first units on JP to lead 2 different categories, and both were easily the best TURs in the game. Broly gave Movie Bosses category allies 3 key, 170% attack, and 150% to HP and defense. He also gave Full Power category allies 3 key, 170% to attack, and 130% to HP and defense. His team consisted of powerhouses such as AGL Turles, INT Janemba, LR Broly, and LR Goku and Frieza. Broly was also an attack all unit, making his team by far the best team for World Tournament. Broly gained 6 key, 130% attack, and 100% defense at the start of turn. He was a bit squishy in base, but his AoE Super served as a very effective tool in Super Battle Road. His offensive potential was tied to him needing to face multiple enemies, but thankfully, Broly had a very simple transformation condition. Broly transformed into full power Broly starting from turn 4 and became a beast of a unit. He gained 8 key, 188% attack, and 120% defense at the start of turn, and launched an additional attack that had a high chance of becoming a super attack. He was absolutely obliterating enemies with a barrage of super attacks, and he was easily one of the hardest hitting units in the game once transformed. Unsurprisingly, however, Gogeta was an even greater monster than Broly. Gogeta introduced the Movie Heroes category into the game, which included all the main good guys from the movies. He gave the same stat buffs as Broly, but for Movie Heroes and Fusion category allies respectively, and his team too possessed some of the strongest units in the game. Super Saiyan Gogeta gained 100% attack and defense at the start of turn, and was effective against all types, while also having a medium chance of evading enemies' attack. He possessed a great balance of offense and defense in his kit, and he was better than most TURs in just his base form. Gogeta transformed into Blue Gogeta a turn later than Broly on turn 5, referencing the order in which they transformed in the movie. Once transformed, Blue Gogeta was undisputedly the strongest TUR in the game and one of the most powerful units overall. He now gained 130% attack and defense at the start of turn, had a high chance to evade enemies' attacks, and performed a guaranteed critical hit. He was the first unit in the game to have a 100% chance to crit at all times, which absolutely skyrocketed Gogeta's damage to astronomical levels. Gogeta was without question the number 1 TUR, with Broly trailing close behind as number 2. Gogeta and Broly also each came with 2 new banner units. Tech God Goku was a busted banner unit. Not only was he a Rainbow Orb Changer, he gained 77% damage reduction when facing a Movie Bosses category enemy, making him invincible while that part of his passive was active. STR God Vegeta was unfortunately nowhere near as good as God Goku, and was a solid unit at best. INT Paragus and Broly was a very good support unit, but unfortunately, they weren't under Broly's leader skill, and suffered from a severe lack of categories in general. AGL Wrathful Broly surprisingly received an EZA just a day later, and was a very powerful unit on par with Dokkan Fest released this year. Broly gained 70% attack and defense at the start of turn, and gained 1 key at the start of each turn. Furthermore, he gained 20% attack for each attack received up to a maximum of 80%, and 20% defense for every attack performed up to a maximum of 80%. He also raised attack and defense for 3 turns on Super, and led the Pure Saiyans category for 120%, while also having both shocking speed and prepared for battle. Wrathful Broly was boasting very impressive stats, while also linking very well with both Super Class and Extreme Class units, making him a must-run on almost every team. These 2 new free-to-play units also received an EZA, and were some of the most powerful free-to-play TURs in the game, especially against movie bosses category enemies. The Broly movie Celebration batch of units were ridiculously good and were must-haves for every player, but Dokkan wasn't done showing off. One of the leakers that leaked all the information for the $250 million celebration teased that the biggest banner in Dokkan history would be dropping on New Year's Day, and players were absolutely floored by this news. They had just released some of the most highly anticipated and best-selling banners ever, so surely there was no way something even grander was about to be released, right? Dokkan released the first ever New Year step-up banner, and the value of this banner certainly lived up to the hype. This banner consisted of 5 steps, with each step guaranteeing a unit from a certain pool of characters. Step 1 cost 20 stones and gave out a Dokkan Fest character that could EZA. Steps 2 and 3 cost 40 stones each and guaranteed a Super Class and Extreme Class Neo God Leader respectively. Step 4 cost 50 stones and gave out a category leader up until Physical 17. And finally, Step 5 was also 50 stones, but guaranteed a LR up until LR Bardock. In total, you could get an LR character, a category leader, 2 Neo God Leaders, and an EZA Dokkan Fest character for only 200 Dragon Stones. And you were able to do 2 rotations on this amazing step-up banner, with all the previously mentioned characters also being in the unfeatured pool on the banner. This was, as Team Dokkaner said, without a doubt the greatest banner in Dokkan history, and perfectly capped off a very hype and game-changing year for Dokkan. The first new unit of 2019 was the EZA for 1st Anniversary Super Gogeta. There was no way Dokkan could have met the level of expectations the community had set for this EZA, but he still turned out to be pretty good all things considered. He now gained 77% attack and defense at the start of turn, and gained an additional 7% attack per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. He was out-damaging a Rainbow INT Super Gogeta with just 1 dupe, while also being able to take hits somewhat effectively. He was a powerful EZA, though not on the same level as Janemba. A week before the countdown for the 4th anniversary began, authentic fan art started circulating featuring LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku and LR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. These were quickly dismissed to be fake, and a week later, the countdown campaign officially started. The countdown images hinted that the anniversary would be GT themed, and the 4th anniversary login card featured Super Saiyan 4 Goku holding the 4-star Dragon Ball. With the anniversary headliners looking more and more like some sort of Super Saiyan 4 unit, players had no idea that the leaked card arts were actually real. In truth, we had known who was coming for the 4th anniversary over 2 weeks in advance, but players wouldn't realize it until the end of the month, when these game-changing LRs were finally unleashed.
本当の戦いはこれからだ。今の俺は誰にも止められんぞ。
If you enjoyed what you saw, please like the video and subscribe to stay tuned for future parts, as well as leaving a comment down below on your thoughts on this era of Dokkan. This period marked the beginning of modern Dokkan animations, and many iconic units made their debut during this time. I'll see you guys in the next part, when we cover the 4th anniversary and the birth of the most iconic game mechanic in all of Dokkan.